So let me guess. Your controller looks like this, or worse, because you've picked it apart trying to figure out what the heck you can do to fix the darn thing so you can play the games that you love. And now you're looking for an upgrade, right? And now you have that Elite Series 2. It's just tantalizing you. It's so beautiful, so illustrious. Come to me, gamer. Come by me. Spend 3 times the price of a normal controller on me. Stop. What if I told you that you can get a pro-level controller at not a pro-level price? Let's talk about it. Ladies and gentlemen, kings and queens, welcome back to another day in the studio. My name is Cryptic, and if you're new here, I like to talk about gaming tech and gaming news. And if you like what you're seeing so far, go ahead and hit the subscribe button and join the kingdom. We like to have a good time here. I also have a Discord server up where we can all hang out, talk about creative strategies, and where I can do all of my announcements for future videos and upcoming live events. And if you want access to all of that, it's going to be in a nice, neat little link in the description below. So feel free to check that out. But today, we're talking about this bad boy, and this is the Fusion Pro wired controller. Now, first things first, the Elite is way better than this, but I mean, what did you expect me to tell you? Something else? Do you like being lied to? Who hurt you? But otherwise, what I'm talking about with this video is not what controller is the best thing or better than the Elite controller, but what controller can do pretty much the same thing as the Elite controller, but at a much cheaper price. So let's face the facts here. Controllers experience wear and tear after repeated use, just like everything else. Bumpers, broken triggers, and the infamous stick drift are all examples of damages that can really ruin a once great controller, and even more so, your gaming experience. But you know what's worse than all of that? Knowing that you paid about $200 for it in the first place. So today we're gonna go through some comparisons between the two. I'm gonna also give you some of my experiences that I've had with it, and we'll decide together whether or not picking up one of these controllers may be worth your time. Without further ado, let's go ahead and change up the camera angles and start checking these things out. All right, so here we are with both controllers in front of us. You have your PowerA Fusion Pro on the right and your Elite Series 2 on the left. As you can see, both of these controllers come with a carrying case, and we'll just go ahead and open those up and check out what is inside. Now, this is your standard package that you're gonna get for both of these controllers. Your Elite Series 2 is gonna come in at $179.99, and your PowerA Fusion Pro is going to come in at $79.99. So you're getting an entire $100 cheaper for basically almost the same thing, but we wanna see how the quality is between the two as well. As you can see, first off, the Elite Series 2 has a charging dock incorporated into the carrying case. So you can set your controller down, you can plug it in, go ahead and charge it. With the PowerA Fusion Pro, not really. You just go ahead, set it down, and it just lives there. It's somewhere nice and safe to keep your controller. You don't have to worry about a bunch of dust and stuff getting on it. Everything will be fine that way. Now, you also have your carrying cable, charging cable that is super, super long. It comes with the controller because obviously it's a wired controller. You need something to connect it to. It has also a disconnecting point here, so that way in case you get stuck on the controller or something, you don't snap your entire console off of the whatever mount you had your console on. It'll just completely disconnect the cord. And then you have your micro USB input for your controller for charging. So moving on from there, you already know about the Elite Series 2 and what it comes with. Actually, I'll even put a card right here at the top left of the video linking to the other 2 reviews that I did on the Elite Series 2 controller. So I'm not gonna focus so much on the parts that come with this kit, but with the PowerA Fusion Pro controller, you do have a good little bit of extra parts that comes with it. Of course, you have your paddles that come with it that go on the back. In order to put these paddles on, you do have to take this little back plate off, and then they'll just snap right on in. This is another issue that I had with it. It's kind of hard to pull these out of the case, and I almost feel like I want to break them every time, but otherwise it just snaps right in, and then you're good to go. You just go in that way, snaps right in, and you're good to go. And then you also have 2 more thumbsticks. You have a concave high rise, and then you have a convex high rise. And you can take these out on the controller because, check this out, boom, magnetic faceplate. So the entire faceplate does come off of this controller. That allows you to pull up on your thumbsticks and replace them as you need to. I'm a fan of this feature here because you can actually get inside of the mechanism of the controller without having to break any warranties, and you can really get a good deep clean in there, maybe blow some compressed air in there to get any dust and crap out. I personally have this little, it's like a gooey ball of slime that's used to clean off keyboards and stuff. It gets between every single crack, and I use that on this as well. You also have on the back of these faceplates are these little rings. And you pop these out, actually you pop them out through the front. That's the weird thing about them, is they go out the front side. And these are anti-friction rings. And what that means, you also have 2 replacements down in here. So you push these in back through the front. And what it means to have anti-friction rings is whenever you slap this back on here, nice and easy, your movement of your thumbsticks don't scratch against the edge of the housing, which is something that I wasn't too fond of. I mean, it's not really that bad on the Elite Series 2 as well. As you can see, it does have some of those anti-friction like properties on the inside of their rings as well. But when I was using this controller, it almost felt like I was playing on ice, if that makes sense. I was wondering why my aim and why my looking sensitivity, it felt like I was playing very sloppy. And I think this was just part of the reason why, is that you just have these anti-friction rings and these things are smooth, and I mean smooth, smooth, smooth. So it's a nice addition, but something that I personally am not that big of a fan of. I don't mind the way that normal controllers are in the first place. Now, whenever you go to wire these paddles on the back, you do have to hold this button right here, which is the, I don't know if you can see it in the camera there. There you go. It is a mapping programming button. So you'll hold that for 3 seconds. It'll light up 3 times right here in the middle. You pick which button you want to map, and then you will assign it to whichever paddle that you have here. So it's very simple, very standard. It's not like the Elite Series 2 where you have an entire interface integrated into the Xbox settings that allows you to not only change out the different buttons that you have on your paddles on the back, but also the functions of the buttons already on the faceplate, which these ones you cannot do that with. You can only change the button mapping capabilities of the paddle. Now, while I'm actually looking at these paddles, if you would like to notice here, these paddles are actually much longer than the Elite Series 2. And I am actually a fan of that, just because I like to not have to stretch my fingers all the way in. It does loosen your grip a little bit, but for people with smaller hands than mine, I felt like I had more control over the paddles themselves, versus with the Elite Series 2, these do have a nice snapping function to them, and they actually go in a lot easier than these paddles on the PowerA Fusion Pro. But I do like to have just a little bit more length, because I feel like whenever I'm getting into really high intensity moments that I'm starting to slip off of the paddle itself. So that was something that I didn't mind too much. And then obviously you have all the extra features that the Elite Series 2 comes with, where you can go ahead and tighten off these thumbsticks, which in hindsight, I don't know, was a good idea, because now my stick has stick drift, but it is what it is.
It is what it is. It is what it is.
And last but not least, the most important part is if you look down here at the bottom, you do not have an adapter attached to this controller. You only have the auxiliary port, which means a lot of the headsets that are certified for Xbox will probably not work with this, because they usually take advantage of that little adapter piece. Usually it's a piece on there that allows you to control volume and chat and audio settings. So if you want to use a headset with this, you will have to only have an auxiliary port on it. That's going to cause some issues for some people. For me, not that big of a deal, because I already use a wireless headset, so I don't wire any controllers or wire any of my headsets to my controller in the first place. So that's something to keep in mind if you are looking for that specific purpose, to be able to wire your headset in. You will only get that on the Elite Series 2. You will not get that on the PowerA Fusion Pro. All right, so let's get into some of the cons that I ran into with this controller. And one of them being that the trigger locks on the back are not as fully functional as I wanted them to be. So just like with the Elites, you can choose between a few settings for the trigger locks, which you have the highest, a medium, and then the lowest setting, which is the same as your standard controller. Now, the lower you go with these, it seems like the more the controller actually picks up the sensitivity. I'll actually throw up a clip of me using these triggers and adjusting the trigger locks. Now, it's almost like the harder you press with some games, the more that the game will react, correct? So basically what can happen is, say you're with your trigger here, and I noticed this immediately when I started playing with it. If you have the trigger lock all the way up and you're using an FPS, or you're playing an FPS game, the trigger hair sensors, it seems like with the gun in the game, what was happening is that the actual gun was knocking back, like it was getting ready to shoot, but it didn't fully fire. It registered that I was clicking the button, but it wouldn't fully fire because I didn't press the button all the way down. So I have to go ahead and unlock this and use it as a normal standard trigger instead of having it at the highest setting. I couldn't even do it at the medium setting. Same with the left side here. I was using a end-game vehicle, and the acceleration of the vehicle slowed down the higher that I had this trigger lock to. So I have to use it at the lowest setting to go ahead and use the vehicle at its full speed. So that's something that I think is either a product flaw or an issue that I'm having with my controller in particular. I did get a 2-year warranty on this, so I'm pretty much going to use it until I wear it out, and then I'm just going to return it and get it to be fixed and get another one. So I'm not too worried about that personally. And like I said, worst case scenario, now you just have a standard trigger, which is something you were already playing with before you went over to this, right? So, and then you also don't have an interchangeable D-pad like you do with the Elite controller. Personally, I like the cross design. That's just something that's always been something that I've been a fan of. It's just standard. It's what's been around since I was a kid. So I don't like this open-faced oval design. If you do like that, I'm sorry, you're not going to get that with this. You're just going to have a standard cross D-pad. So remember that whenever you're going into buying this. And lastly, of course, your main con is that it's always wired. Now, that's an issue that I also am not having a problem with, because if I want to play on PC, I have to wire my controller anyway. Unless I get a Bluetooth dongle, I need to wire my controller to my PC, so that already solves that problem. And I sit really, really close to my Xbox, so it's not like I'm stretching this cord out over a whole living room. I'm just, sitting at my desk, using my controller, and having this wired to that Xbox is not really that big of a deal for me. It's not out of the way, or it's not in my way and really gunking up my workspace. So if you're looking for something that needs to be wired, or if you're looking for something that needs to be wireless, then this is not really what you're looking for. It has to be wired. If you absolutely have to have that wireless capabilities, then I'm sorry, this controller just is not for you. You can either suck it up and deal with it, or you can go with the Elite. So closing thoughts, every controller is going to have its host of issues, including this one. And if you're looking for something with all the bells and whistles and all the features, then absolutely go get yourself an Elite Series 2 or get yourself a SCUF controller. But just know you're going to have to pay that premium price. You're going to have to pay the $180 to $200. And I mean, you get what you pay for, you know what I mean? So if you want to go for something that isn't really as kitted out, you're gonna still get that button mapping capabilities and something with paddles on it, which is what I was desperately looking for. And actually, this is one that I was choosing over the other ones because it actually has similar paddles to the Series 2 controller, versus it having the ones that go straight down like you would see in the Prestiges, the SCUF Prestiges. So those ones go straight down. Wasn't really a fan of that. I like the ones that go out sideways. This is perfect for you. As long as you have, the peace of mind knowing that you're going to have a wired controller the entire time, and that you probably won't be able to use one of your favorite headsets if you have to use the adapter. If you have a wireless headset, this is no problem. You already have what you need. So in my eyes, this is worth going ahead and risking another $20 over a standard controller versus going ahead and committing to $180 or more for a professional gaming pro controller. Most importantly, this will work with the Xbox Series X and the Xbox Series S. Microsoft has already announced that any of the previous accessories that worked with your Xboxes right now will go ahead and go up in the generation and work with the Series X and Series S software. So you will have the peace of mind knowing that your controller will work for you if you go ahead and pick one up now. So that's it for me, guys. If you have any thoughts or opinions on these controllers, let me know in the comments down below. I will have a product link in the description in case you want to pick any one of these two up. And as always, I appreciate you guys coming here and spending the time with me that you did today. My name is Cryptic, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.